Phobia a major issue in football?
Well, I know it's a very serious issue, and footballers led the way in many issues with regards to equality and diversity. In particular, I'm particularly proud of our anti-racism campaign that we began with the Commission for Racial Equality, and it's built on that. And now we accommodate more players from all over the world of different colours, creeds, backgrounds, and I think that is a lesson for the world, and that has been a real success story. Following on that, of course, we've been asked to do and get involved with campaigns on other issues such as anti-Semitism, Islamophobia and homophobia. To explain with regard to the Football Association, they were wishing to do a DVD, a video on it, with regard to anti-homophobia, and when asked, we said we would willingly support them. And it's indicative of the emotions that this subject generates, because within the gay community they were exactly split on the quality of that particular DVD, and so as a result, it caused a furore. It got a lot of publicity, but the FA decided to pull that, and then in the end it got leaked to Newsnight, and suddenly I got called in because there was an accusation that individual players had refused to be particularly involved in the campaign, and that was never the case, because we felt, as we did with anti-racism, that the same strategy, that the Football Association needs to come out against it. So does the Football League and the Premier League and the PFA. It's natural as well. We don't want any players. I don't want any players feeling totally intimidated. And but it is a serious subject, and it's one also that we didn't feel comfortable in, that there would be a very positive response if we then got in touch with clubs and said, each club, do you want to have an ambassador against homophobia? Because on the feedback to me, it's not been portrayed as a big issue. Now, that's not being disrespectful, that's just a fact, and then you go into the reasons perhaps why that is the case. And then I'm aware that Max Clifford has said he's had players who wish to come out. But having said that, I would have hoped my members could have as much trust in me as Max Clifford, certainly, to discuss a situation when we have a great deal of confidentiality, and we have our own particular units throughout the country where we deal with such serious personal issues and addictive pressures and mental pressures and different issues where they're dealt with in security and confidentiality, and we give a judgment on it. I'm also aware, of course, that we've had chants with regard to Sol Campbell and different players, and there's no doubt that players will be aware of that. It's not as though it's not like if you're a footballer, you're going to the theatre down the road and expecting the whole crowd to be quiet while you're playing, because at times we've seen that football crowds can get particularly personal and could easily be judged as going over the top with regard to individuals. And so from that point of view, I think it's fair to say, bearing in mind what's happened initially, that it's not got off on the best start, that I've said to the FA, I spoke to Ian Watmore, Chief Executive of the FA, and he said, it's got a lot of publicity, and given it's been on our website and it's a good debate, but I don't want us to be accused of bottling it, really. I want us to be up there at the forefront and to have a proper strategy, and to follow an initial campaign where all the organisations in football are against it, then to deal with the Federation of Supporters, then to get involved with club programmes and literature and build up a proper strategy. I hate a situation where you have a launch and then there's no follow-through. And it's just indicative of how emotions, I don't want my players to be criticised, but this is an issue that you could say it's like split the Church of England. It's been a big problem in the services for a long time, a big problem in the police, and it's not a case of not addressing it, but it's a case of how to do it in the best way, and it's a slowly to keep it on our agenda. So there's no way that I want to diminish its importance, but when you say do you consider it a major issue in football? I can only deal honestly with the fact that no, it's not. But if there are individual players out there who have a serious issue and they can bring them to me and the PFA, then they will be given the utmost importance.
There are those that would say, though, that statistically there must be some gay footballers in Britain, and yet nobody has come out yet. Do you accept that?
I accept.
And are they frightened to come out?
I accept that. You know, when having said that, I suppose it's only recently you've had the rugby player come out at the FA Council. One of the council members who's involved with this campaign has come out. Peter Tatchell has an organisation where he's wanting people to come out, where he's wanting homosexuals to come out, and it's really difficult because being heterosexual, you've got to understand, you know, the position that they're in, and from that point of view you've got to show a measure of understanding, and we want to use sport and football to create a civilised society. But it's the same with the black players. I needed to consult with them because, you know, I've never walked in their shoes. Until you hear the sort of things they have to put up with, it's only then that you can appreciate what they've had to fight against, and then I'm better and in a better position to deal with the situation. So unless somebody comes to me, and I can honestly say, I didn't even know Justin Fashanu was homosexual until afterwards, after his career was over, and then we did our best to deal with him in a helpful and supportive way. But you see how in the end that had tragic consequences. Not our help, but in him dealing with it.
Is it therefore an issue that the players are reluctant to discuss then?
Well, clearly when you think about we have 3,000 current players and we must have 50,000 former players, and I honestly have not had one occasion when anybody has discussed it with me.